Hi, welcome to the Get Ready with God podcast. My name is Julie Taylor and I'm your host, and I am not God. Obviously, I'm not an expert. I'm not even a scriptorian. I'm literally just a girl sitting in front of a microphone, hoping God is real. The Get Ready with God podcast is the daily devotional podcast to help you see divinity in every day. This might be a controversial episode, but we are going to dive in and hope it lands somewhere that is helpful. Something I have said before is that I don't necessarily fully align with the church that I choose to participate in. And there's some dissonance there, right? And it can be tricky. And people are like, well, then why do you participate? And I have my reasons. We've talked about the reasons why I choose to participate in religion. But one of the reasons of why I found peace coming back to participate in organized religion is that I realized that organization wise, there's never going to be an organization or a movement that I fully align with. There's always going to be some dissonance or some outliers or some things that don't totally work for me because we're just individuals. We're individuals who have our own nuanced experiences and ideas and perceptions and needs. And so we're never going to an individual will likely never fully personally align with a group or organization 100% of the time. But I feel like sometimes that's the expectation that's being sold is if you're going to participate in something, again, not just religion, but if you're going to align yourself with something or participate in something, you better be 100% fully aligned. And I just don't think that's possible as a human with individualistic opinions and experiences and needs. I just don't think that's possible. So one of the reasons when I decided to come back to organized religion that I was able to make peace with it was just yeah, I'm not going to fully align with this or any other organization ever. So do I want to be part of stuff? Do I want to contribute? Do I want to be part of a community? Yeah, I do. And so I'm just going to reconcile the dissonance by saying, yeah, I don't actually fully align with anything ever. So we just try to pick the ones with net positive. So that has been my belief for a long time. And it can make people uncomfortable, I feel like, when I start talking about the parts that I don't agree with or align with and that have some dissonance for me. Because there is kind of an all or nothing expectation often where if you're going to be a part of a church or participate, you kind of need to be fully aligned and fully support and fully endorse. A friend today actually helped me really articulate this. I told her my thoughts because I said, I don't think there is a perfect church on the earth. I don't think there is a religion that gets it 100% right because we're men. We're human and humans can't be perfect and humans can't create something perfect. So even if God is at the helm, we're still humans executing. And so there's going to be error. There's going to be corruption. There's going to be discrepancies. There's going to be this because humans are at play and humans will always take us to this end result. What I hate more than anything is when people pretend that that's not true. And so for me, it's a lot easier to call out the dissonance, to call out the problems and just say, hey, this is the reality. The reality is that there's some dissonance here. The reality is that this isn't quite right. And also, I'm still choosing it. And the way that I can still choose it is by being really honest and open with hey, some of this stuff doesn't line up and some of this stuff isn't perfect. And the people involved and the things that we're doing, we are human and therefore it can't be perfect. And it's easier for me to call that out and still choose it than it is to pretend like those things don't exist. But she said later, I was thinking about why there can't be a perfect church on the earth. And she said, maybe it's an opportunity to apply the atonement of Jesus Christ to even this situation. Because the atonement of Jesus Christ, if you're Christian, if you subscribe to this, which I do, can make things perfect. It kind of fills that gap between imperfection in humanity and the perfection of the gospel of Jesus Christ. If it fills that void. And so it would make sense that that void might even exist in religion, and yet the doctrine of Jesus Christ, which is perfect, can fill that void. I'm getting a little more niche and a little bit more in the weeds of religion than I usually do in this podcast, but it's really important to me to talk about. And I know that it won't sit well with everyone because to come publicly and say, I don't actually align with every part of my church is a hard thing for people to hear me say. But what I want to do is not convince you to believe in everything. It's not to convince you to deny the problems of faith and religion. It's to offer you a path where you can say, I see this, I acknowledge it, it's the reality, and I can still choose faith, or I can still choose to participate in the religion, or I can still choose God. And I think one path to this for me has been to separate my personal relationship with divinity from church and religion. And sometimes there's crossover and sometimes they go hand in hand and other times they just don't. And so when things go wrong and I see problems in religion, it's a lot easier for me to reconcile because I just think, well, yeah, that's not perfect and there's plenty of problems over there, but that's actually not the same as my relationship with God. And so I can actually take that dissonance. I can take that disconnect. I can take that stuff that I see to God to help me navigate and say, I'm calling this out. And for me, that has been the path to faith. And so I think the reason people get really stressed when I talk like this is because usually when people talk like this, they're giving you all the reasons of why you should leave a religion or burn it all down or whatever. And you can follow that path. I did. And it was fine. I learned a lot. But I'm interested in having these conversations in a faith-affirming place. I think that God respects our agency more than anything else. So I don't think that God expects me to blindly follow and obey and agree with things without asking questions and having doubts. I just don't think that's true. And so the parts of me that have been so hard for me to accept and that have been framed as wrong, of like the doubting and the questioning and the exploring, I think are actually very much God-given. And I don't think that God has ever been afraid of my doubts or my wandering. Not one day has God been afraid of me and the questions that I bring. And I really want to create a space where we're able to say, here's all these problems. I'm not going to ignore them. I'm not going to pretend like they're not real. And also, I'm still going to choose this. And I think it can be really, really empowering if we can create those spaces to have these conversations and to see that there is that path there if you want it. I'm not going to tell you actually what to do because this is such a personal thing. I'm just going to say what I do and you can do what you need to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your faith. But for me, separating my relationship with God from the church, my church, any church, has been really, really helpful for me because when problems come up, my relationship with God is not actually the thing that's threatened. My faith in the church and the organization, the trust there, the alignment there, that might be threatened a little bit. But it's a lot less scary when your relationship with God isn't also attached to that. Just in case you're in a place where this is helpful, I don't know, I felt like I needed to share that and offer you this path. But to reiterate that this is a faith-affirming podcast. And so I'll never detail out my dissonance. I just won't. I'm never going to detail out my doubts. I don't think anyone needs to borrow my dissonance and doubts. I think people need to navigate their own. And so I wouldn't want to share mine to give you more or different ones. I think we're all called to navigate different things for a reason. And I really do feel like we're guided to see the things that we are called to fix or build or connect some bridges over. And so I'm going to keep my dissonance and doubts specifically to myself. Those are private, but the fact that they exist is not a secret. And my choice to participate in religion despite them is not a secret. And I just want to offer you that path. You can see the problems, and there is a way to talk through this stuff in a hopeful, faith-affirming place if that's the choice you want to make. It does exist. It is possible. So, nobody's perfect. Is that Hillary Duff? Do you know Hillary Duff made new music? I need to go listen to it. I haven't listened to it. Her new song came out yesterday. I haven't listened to it yet. Wow, something to live for. Okay. Anyways, I don't know. I don't know about this episode. It feels like something important that I want to say. So I hope I said it well. I feel like I didn't, but I always hope that you get what you need, regardless of if I say it or not. Just by those quantum particles, baby. By intentionally tuning in and channeling some divinity in your day. This is not about me or what I say. I think that you're going to get what you need, regardless, just because of the intention. And because God is real. I've been hoping. I'm really hoping. I think God is real. I think quantum physics are too. And I think that I love you. Bye. Love you. Bye.